Oh, we're live. Okay.
Yes. Hello, Miss Laura. How are you doing?
Very well. I hope you are as well. Lovely Thursday
I'm
evening.
doing well. Yeah, thanks. And guys, this is Mukhtar. Good to see you. One more live with Miss Laura. We'll be talking about CELTA process, how to get accepted. And I'd like to welcome Miss Laura. She is an MCT course tutor, main course tutor for CELTA. And she spent like over 25 years teaching CELTA. Like she started around 1997. That was really a good number of years of experience. And I'd like her to introduce herself more, tell more about her great experience. So please, Ms. Laura.
Okay, I'll try to keep it brief because I'm old, so that means I have a lot of years to talk about, but I don't want you to fall asleep. Yes, I have been a CELTA tutor since 1997. And before that, I was also a Trinity TEFL cert tutor in the UK from about 1991. So yes, I am very familiar with these kinds of training courses. And I did my own CELTA when it had a different name in 1987 during the kind of dinosaur Jurassic era. So I've been teaching and training for nearly 34 years in the UK, in the Far East, in the Middle East, in Turkey, and now Egypt, and of course other North African countries like Tunisia, where I've spent quite a lot of time, also Central Asia. So I've been very fortunate to be able to teach and train in other countries as well as here. This is my second year in Cairo, so I'm enjoying it. You can never say Cairo is dull. It's always fun, crazy, and that's what makes it interesting. So I hope that I will spend even more years here.
Yeah,
so let's
sure.
see.
Good to have you.
Who knows?
Well, if we start with a simple question about CELTA, and then let's say, how much does it cost?
Right. The most important question for most people, because obviously money doesn't grow on trees. So the current price is 27,000 Egyptian pounds, which is the rough equivalent of 1,250 sterling, so British pounds. I'll leave you to do the calculations for dollars. I'm an English teacher, not a maths teacher, so I'm rubbish at that kind of
thing. It differs.
Yes, but basically, exactly. This is a very sort of common cost around the world. That's an average CELTA price, and some countries are more expensive. But that's just to give you an idea. Okay.
Yeah,
so that's
this is how we do it. Yeah, good. Okay, so I got the cash. Who can apply? Everybody?
Well, humans, definitely. It does help if you're humans, 2 arms, 2 legs. Of course, but of course, preferably you should be at least over 18. Cambridge has 2 guidelines for this. Ideally, they like you to be over 20. However, years ago, they introduced a new rule where they said you can be over 18 if the centre feels that you are mature enough. Now, basically what this means is Cambridge, the people who apply for CELTA should be capable of doing a degree, whether it's a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Science, or a Bachelor of Education. So intellectually, you should be around that level. And of course, if you're over 20, the chances are you already have a degree of some kind. However, in the case of more mature students, for example, you might be somebody like my own mother, who started to become an English teacher when she was 38. So even though she hadn't finished her degree, they allowed her to do it because intellectually she had read a great deal and she was clearly a very educated woman, just not formally educated. So if we feel that you have the capacity to cope with the course, we accept you, because Cambridge doesn't discriminate as to whether you have a degree or not. It's whether we feel that you'll be able to cope with the demands of the course. However, just something to bear in mind, although we don't discriminate as to whether you have a degree or not, some countries might not let you work there if you don't have a degree plus a CELTA. All right? So this will vary from country to country when it comes to getting work permits. All right?
Yeah, so if we can sum it up, you gotta be plus or more than 18 years
18
old.
plus.
18 plus, yes. And for the degree, it's preferable. But if you don't, that's okay.
It's not the end of the world.
Good. Yeah, sure. Okay. Sorry. then how to apply for the CELTA course?
Right. Like any CELTA center in the world, you ask for an application form. And you can find these on the website. You download the application form. It's very simple. All you have to do is fill in your name, address, date of birth, a little bit about yourself, for example, your qualifications. What did you study at university if you have a degree? If you've got a master's, also please mention that, where you took it, when you received it, when you graduated. And a short paragraph about why you would like to take the CELTA course. This is usually a very, a simple task. It's only about 150 words. So we're not looking for Shakespeare here. Just keep it very simple. I want to take the course because I feel it will benefit my career, or I want to learn more teaching techniques, and so on. All right. In fact, I did forget to say something important in the who can apply. You can be experienced or inexperienced. It's up to you. When I first started, when I took my own CELTA in the old days, it was mostly completely inexperienced so-called native English-speaking candidates who had never taught before, knew nothing about grammar. Over time, though, that has changed. There are more and more experienced teachers who don't speak English as their mother tongue, but they're already qualified and experienced teachers. Okay, so these are the people who want to perhaps update their skills, refresh their knowledge, and acquire an internationally recognized teaching certificate. Okay, so that's basically part one. Part one of the application process. Fill in the application form, a brief explanation of why you want to take the course. This is also accompanied by something called a pre-interview task. So as it says, it's before the interview. These are a few questions, usually about vocabulary or grammar, and you're just asked to explain what they mean. We're not looking for detailed grammatical explanations. What they mean, when we use them in real life. Okay, so that's that's one part of the pre-interview task. Following that, which is part of the pre-interview task, you will be asked to write an essay. Okay. Now, this is very important because the essay is around 800 words long, and there's a very good reason for this, because if you are accepted onto the CELTA course, the average assignment, i.e. CELTA homework, because there are 4 of these, is between 750 to 1,000 words long. So we need to know that you can write a reasonable essay, right, that shouldn't have too many mistakes, okay? We're not looking for perfection, but it should be mostly accurate because we need to know that you can cope with the written demands of the course. Now, pre-interview essays vary, but the most important thing we want you to do is just give us your opinion. It doesn't matter whether I agree or disagree. I just want to know, as any tutor in the world, just wants to know what you think about this subject, teaching skills, teaching grammar, teaching vocabulary, your ideas. So please, 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 do not go around, surfing websites for CELTA essays and application essays, because we use anti-plagiarism software, all right? Yes. And Cambridge takes plagiarism very, very, very seriously. So if you send us an application essay which has been plagiarized, we will not accept you on, we will not continue your application. Because if you're cheating now, what are you going to do when you start the course? I know there are some websites that have these things, but it's unethical, and these websites are not with the permission of Cambridge. All right. So you're a teacher. Your duty is to be honest. Just write the essay in your own words. That's what we want to see. That's what we're
it has no wrong or right answer. So
mostly no, exactly.
So why you should copy?
Yes, because it's your opinion. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, I've just marked a couple and they were plagiarized, and it was really sad that a teacher would do this. So just ask. Just as you see, there are some self-titled people on YouTube, sort of saying, oh, I can tell you the secrets of passing the CELTA. And they are not tutors. They are not accredited CELTA tutors. They're just somebody who decided to, to make themselves important by often giving you incorrect information for their own self-aggrandizement. So in many cases, what these people are doing is illegal and unethical. So please use your own voice when you apply for the CELTA. So pre-interview task, just answer some questions about grammar and vocabulary and write an essay in your own words. If there are any mistakes, we give you a second chance to correct yourself. So it's not an exam, it's just for us to see what you know and what you think, all right? If there's no test here, okay.
Perfect. So generally, the application is about personal info, educational background, and then a paragraph. Why do you want to do your CELTA?
Exactly.
And then if you go to the task, it's for the paragraph is like 150 words. Why do you want to do CELTA? And when you go back to the pre-interview task, it's an essay around 800 words. You should write correct English as a teacher.
Yes.
Should be. And it has no wrong or right answers. You should just say your opinion, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Good. Perfectly good. Okay. The odd mistake we're not going to be worried about. If you make too many mistakes, the chances are we won't be able to continue to the next part. But so please, as Mokhtar has very rightly said, you are applying to become an English teacher. So we do expect to see mostly correct written English because you're going to teach it. So make sure your punctuation and spelling is, as correct as possible. Use the, use an English keyboard, whether it's the English American keyboard or the British English keyboard. That'll help you, if you find it difficult to, because when you're writing quickly, we all make mistakes, myself included. So I have to read. Yeah, I'm sure you do the same in your own language. If we write, we make mistakes. We're humans.
Perfect. But proofreading helps a lot.
Always.
So do you recommend this?
Always proofread. And sometimes if I'm writing something like a report that will go to my boss, then it has to be as near perfect as possible. Then I proofread, and sometimes I give it to a colleague, because sometimes another pair of eyes can see things that I didn't see. So yes, please proofread. That's life. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're all humans.
Yes.
Good. So I'm done with my application, my pre-interview task. Then I should send it. Then what is the next step?
So you've sent your pre-interview task and your application. Everything's fine. Then if everything is fine, you are invited to an interview. Okay. Now, it sounds a bit like, oh my God, a bit scary, like a job interview. It's not like that at all. And to be honest with you, people always ask, how can I prepare for the CELTA interview? The answer is really try not to prepare too much, because you might end up just, giving a speech or something that you've memorized, which doesn't work with us. We will understand what you've done. If you want to prepare in any shape or form, try to find out about the CELTA course, from the Reach Out website, from the Cambridge website. It gives you information. Ask other people, there are forums where people have taken the CELTA before, just to get an idea, was it hard work? Was it difficult? Because these are things people want to know. Can I fail? There's a whole load of questions that you have in your mind, especially when you're paying such a lot of money. But in the interview, for a CELTA interview, it really isn't scary at all. We will just ask you things like, why do you want to take the course? What are your future plans? What kind of teaching have you done before, if you have taught before? How do you think the teaching you are doing already will be different from the course? And a lot of the interview really is the tutor explaining to you what to expect on the course. All right. So, we have to, Cambridge says very clearly in their official handbooks that we have to explain to you and make it clear that there is a lot of work involved. All right. So it is our responsibility and our duty, if you like, to explain to you that it's a full day. There's, a lot of work to do in a short time. The course is very rarely intellectually challenging, because that's not its purpose. but you have to be free if you're doing, especially a full-time course. You have to stop working, clear your calendar. If you have children, you need to make arrangements. And people will ask you about this in the interview, not because we're trying to, stick our noses into your private lives. We need to know that you are supported, because when you're doing a CELTA course, you can't do anything else. When you're doing full-time, you work from sort of 9 till 6 most days, and then, whether you're online or face-to-face, you're then finishing your lesson plans, or you're doing some homework, an assignment. So we have to tell you about these things. And it's also an opportunity for you to ask us questions, things that have been bugging you, asking things like, can I fail? Or can I work part-time? The answer is no. Okay, just make that very clear.
Especially if it's full-time.
Yes, full-time, no, please don't. You can't do both. And something will suffer. Either your work's going to suffer, or it is very likely that you will fail the course. So if you're spending such a huge amount of money for a sort of once-in-a-lifetime experience in many ways, then just for 4 weeks, if it's a face-to-face, just clear the calendar, get somebody to help you out. If you've got children, get somebody to help you look after them, because that's the same also online when you're doing full-time. The nice thing about online is that you're at home, but of course, if you have little kids, they come in, Mummy, I'm hungry, Daddy, I'm hungry, I want to drink, I want to. And
you need someone to do this, but
exactly, it's like the cats fighting in the background when you're trying to do a course,
Yes.
So it's the same thing. So that's what a CELTA interview is. It's, part of it is us asking you questions, part of us is telling you what to expect. We will also ask you about your attitude towards constructive criticism, because feedback is a huge part of the CELTA course. Some people find this very difficult to accept, especially if they disagree, and you are allowed to disagree. But, but there's also, the important thing to remember with that is it's according to a set criteria, not your tutor's opinion. So if you find it difficult to accept constructive criticism, then this isn't the course for you. All right?
Because you come to learn, and then you make mistakes, you should have feedback. You can accept this feedback.
Well, let's face it, if we were all perfect teachers already, why spend all that money? Stay at home and have a nice time. Is basically it, isn't it? But the bottom line is none of us are perfect teachers, no matter how experienced we are. Even old people like me, I still make mistakes. Maybe I make fewer mistakes because I've got more experience, but I haven't stopped making mistakes, believe me. So yes.
And this is how we learn more.
Yes, exactly. And this is how you progress. So this is what the purpose of the interview is. For us to find out a bit about you as a person, and for us to make it very clear to you that you have, there's a lot of work to do within a short time frame. So we have to make you aware, right? And at the end of the interview, we usually tell you if you have been accepted or not, and you will then be given a pre-course task, which is issued by Cambridge. And that usually is something where it's basically to prepare you for the course, some terminology. It's not graded, it's just a task. Yeah, but it's quite big. It's about 30 plus pages. So we suggest you do it bit by bit before the course starts, and we'll give you the answer key when you finished it. But it's not checked. We're not going to check if you did it or not. You're an adult. It's up to you. It's your responsibility. Okay.
Yeah. Good. So if we sum it up about the interview, part of it is about the pre-interview task you already answered. We're going to check your understanding of what you wrote.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, that's important. And excuse me for not mentioning that. We often mention things in the pre-interview task. Maybe you wrote something that we sort of weren't quite sure about, and then we said, can you tell us what you meant by this? Could you explain a bit more? Or, sorry, we noticed that there were a couple of little mistakes in your essay. Could you tell us what you think the correct form should be? We sometimes develop that in a bit more detail as well. Yes, excuse me.
Good. Okay. So, and a part of it is like giving you the needed awareness that you need to free your time, free yourself totally for the course, and we're checking some requirements needed.
Absolutely, make sure that, whichever format you're taking the course in, if you're doing a face-to-face, think about, traveling time. If you live far away from the center, can you move closer? Do you know any, friends, relatives who live closer to the center? If you're online, again, do you have a good, stable connection? That's very important. Do
Tell
you
me
have a
about
laptop?
this. That was my CELTA.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Egypt. We all have internet problems sometimes. Many countries have internet
Yeah.
problems. And making sure that you have, again, whether you're doing face-to-face or online, do you have a room that where you can shut people out and do your assignments, do your lesson planning without people disturbing you? Because that's very, very important. I mean, again, we often ask you this during the interview, because many of us, do our work at our dining table, for example, if we don't have an extra room. So
And
that's
that will
very,
be
very
comfortable.
important. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's very important. You don't want TV noise, while you're trying to study. I know some people like to play music while they work, and that's fine because everybody has their own way. But it's important to have your own room or space where you can, finish your lesson planning and, finish an assignment, because there's always something to do. And anybody who's taken a full-time CELTA course knows very well that, it eats up your life, it eats up your evenings, and it eats up your weekends. So
It's you, literally.
Yes, eat, sleep, breathe, CELTA. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
It's only 4 weeks. 4 weeks in your life.
And then you got your Kemper CELTA certificate. You're free to go wherever.
Absolutely right. So once you've gone through the interview process and then.
Well, I hope we didn't lose Laura, but it seems like we. Okay, welcome back. Okay, that wasn't long, but you're muted.
Yes, I just have. Just as I'd finished, it froze. So I think we're okay.
Okay, good.
It's a good finishing point.
Well, some people, when they apply for the course, I was one of them when I was applying for it. I really felt not that comfortable, and to the point that I was really having that kind of fear from the process. Okay, I did the application. I wasn't satisfied about it. I always have something wrong. I feel even if it's correct, people prove it, everything is fine, but I'm not confident about it. When I go to the interview, I still have these kind of weird feelings. So how can I overcome these things? What should I know to make myself comfortable?
I think the thing to remember, yes, I'm sorry to interrupt. The most important thing is that it's not a test. Okay, it is an application process. We do need to see if you're the right person for the course. But the pre-interview task is not exactly a test. Okay, we do need to see how you can cope. We don't expect in-depth grammatical knowledge. Okay, so, like I said, because the course was originally designed for mother tongue English speakers who had never studied their own grammar, as I was, many, many moons ago. So we don't expect a detailed knowledge of grammar. We just want to sort of see if you've got the general idea. And the idea also went during the interview, we just want you to be comfortable. Okay, we need to make it clear that you have a lot of work to do, but please try not to stress out about it. That, I've got to talk about grammar, or I've got to talk about the best way to teach vocabulary. Most of the time, we just want your opinion. Because, as I said, there's not, as Mokhtar rightly said, sometimes there isn't always a right or wrong answer, because it's an opinion. Yes, you might find on the course that the way we show you how to do it, or one of the ways, might be very different than you originally believed, but that's fine. But, don't see it as, some great scary event. All right. This is why I say sometimes it's best to go onto the forums of people who've taken the CELTA, and then say, how was your interview? Was there anything you were worried about? And most people do say they were a bit worried. And then when they got into the interview, they realized it was absolutely fine. Okay. Our task is not to scare you about it. Yes, we do need you to know that you're going to have to work really hard, but it's not like a great big exam. It's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay, and
so
this
it's
is your
not a big
chance to
deal.
talk to us. It's really not a big deal, you know.
Mhm.
It's like I said, what we don't want are people, like I said before, don't go memorizing, you know, or try to say the right things, you know. You know, some people have told me in the interview, I find it difficult to accept negative feedback. And I've said, yes, okay, I understand that, because we are all humans and we want to be told that we're wonderful. None of us like being criticized, let's be really, really honest. But if it's, because the purpose of CELTA feedback is to help you improve as a teacher. So I said,
Yes.
you know, I've said to people, look, if you felt that it would help you develop and be more successful on the course, would you be able to accept it? And they said, yes, I think so. And in most cases, they were able to accept it. You know, it's quite rare that we get people that really do not accept it at all. So, you know, that's the purpose, is just to sort of make you realize that, yes, you need to go to the interview, but it's not going to be the end of the world, all right?
Yeah, sure, because it's one more step to be accepted. It's like, what? Don't you take it? Yeah, good.
Yeah. And you might be interviewed with two people, so it's not always, most interviews are one-to-one. Sometimes we have two applicants, so you can sort of chat to each other and make each other feel at ease as well.
Okay, good. So what is the first step? I think we have in the interview day, I think there's a piece of writing again, or it just go for
sometimes if the pre-interview essay was good, we sometimes stop there. Most of the time we get you to do an interview essay on the day. There's a reason for this. So allow yourself a couple of hours, because the face-to-face part is about 45 minutes, but the actual interview essay on the day will probably take you about an hour, okay? Now, the reason we do this, again, this is another sort of Cambridge recommendation, is we often need to know that, we need to be sure that it's your work, all right? So now we don't mean that in an unkind way, but of course, unfortunately now with the internet, where everybody's sending us essays and things, we don't always know who did it. So if it's a face-to-face and you live nearby, you know, near enough, we ask you to come here to the center and write the essay there and then, okay? You can even type it, it's up to you, but as long as you're here doing it. If that's not possible because you're not in the same country or you live very far away, we then time it and say, look, between 5 p.m. on this date, you know, we don't send you the title until that time. So we say, look, at 5 p.m. on this date, we will send you an essay title and we'd like you to write it and then send it back to us at 6 p.m. Of course, again, we still can't guarantee 100% that you wrote it, but we have to trust you on that. All right. So again, that gives us another idea that of your ability to cope with the written work on the course. All right.
Yes.
So that's very important. Okay, because on the course you will not have much time to write. You know, you will usually, in most cases, be given an assignment, as in homework, once a week, but you've only got 1 or 2 days to do them, because you're also doing lesson planning and everything else. So this
it's not the only assignments, because you always write every day. You need to write.
Absolutely. So this is why we need to see what you can write when time is short. All right. Because something that, you know, if you wrote your pre-interview essay or your application essay or whatever 3 weeks in advance, well, it means you have plenty of time to prepare. But on a CELTA course, you don't have that much time. So this is one of the main reasons, actually, probably the main reason, I should say, as to why we want you to write it on the day, because we need to see how you can cope. And again, we don't expect it to be perfect, all right? So just as long as it's mostly correct, that's absolutely fine. Right? Because you only had 45 minutes or an hour, which isn't much. Okay.
All right. Well, I think we got a comment that's asking about what we're going to be seeing next, actually, which is, do we work face-to-face or just online? No, we work face-to-face, and I think Laura got something to tell us about this. When
the next face-to-face is after Eid, isn't it? After Eid al-Fitr, excuse my pronunciation. But we also do online. Yes. So we also do online. It's up to you which format you choose. Obviously, for people who are not in Egypt already, it might be more logical for you to do the online version. or you live far away, you're not in Cairo and you can't leave your family, people have responsibilities. So if you do face-to-face, then it's 4 weeks. If you do the online full-time, it's 5 weeks. Okay, and that's because Cambridge knows that because of the difficulties of doing things online. It's also sometimes it's more tiring to work online because people sort of think, oh, it's easy. I'm just going to sit at home and chill and do all that. It's actually quite exhausting.
It is.
And it's horrible being online 9 hours a day. 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah, sitting in front of the screen doing things. Yes, having TPs and input sessions.
Horrible, isn't it? I mean, yes, it can be nice, but it can also be, quite uncomfortable. So I think yes, there is no easy way to do a CELTA. Whether you do it full-time, part-time, online, offline, you're going to work really hard. Okay.
Yes, and from my experience and even my colleagues at work, they usually say that they liked the stress they had, and they said it was really good journey. They had really good atmosphere and good communication with the rest of the group, and it was really interesting having such an experience.
Yes,
and it's a great professional development step.
Absolutely. I think you make a lot of friends on CELTA, that you might take with you after the course, and that's what's so amazing about it. Not only do you learn to improve yourself as a teacher, but you can make, very good friends. Some of those people might be, very good contacts that will help you, when you go job hunting and things like this, especially if people from different countries or working in different situations. That's really nice. So you can help each other a lot. Absolutely, as long as you're not plagiarizing.
Sure. This is what we call in Arabic haram. The Cambridge
Very haram, yes. In every religion, it's cheating. So cheating is a sin.
Yes.
So it really is dishonest. And it's not appropriate for a teacher because we tell students, don't copy in the exams. So how can we tell our students not to copy if we're doing the same thing? So
can I quote?
Quoting is fine, and acknowledging it. It's when, you see, plagiarism simply means that you are pretending somebody else's work is your own, and this is why it's dishonest. Quoting, a couple of sentences, from a well-known, author is absolutely fine, because you are acknowledging, you are admitting that these are not your ideas, or this is not your idea, and you are giving credit. So that's the difference between, quoting or, referring to something, because you're saying exactly who said it, in which book they said it, which publisher, and so on. Of course, we don't want you doing things where you quote a whole paragraph. No, that's not going to work with us.
We need to listen to your opinion as well.
Yes, exactly. So, that's the difference between plagiarism and referencing, is acknowledging, saying who wrote it. The other one is pretending that you wrote it when you didn't. And just, please note that most CELTA tutors in the world, if not all, I would imagine all of us, we have read, many methodology books. So as soon as you start writing something that is clearly not your own, we can smell it a mile away. Because we've often
read of experience, sure.
Yes, because we've been, we've also done CELTAs and Deltas ourselves, and we use the same books. And sometimes we use the same books for preparing our own workshops or sessions and things like this. So we recognize them immediately. And nowadays, of course, because we have the internet, we can go into, anti-plagiarism websites. We can use anti-plagiarism software, which will tell us in 2 minutes, if it's yours or not. So when I get something that says 88 or 90% plagiarized and 10% unique, and then it shows me all the websites where you got it from. You see, so it's easy.
Can you please say the percentages again?
Yes. So, we don't mind, sort of 10% is an often sort of accepted, average. But please don't pretend it's your own, because we know. I can see it easily, and I'm not the only tutor. I'm not the cleverest tutor in the world, but we can see it because we go, hang on a minute, I'm sure I've read this somewhere. And then, we paste it into a, plagiarism, anti-plagiarism website, and then it comes up and it says, okay, that's from this website or this book, or, It's very easy to track it. So it's the same with your application essays. It's the same with your assignments, your homework on the course, or lesson plans. We know, and especially if you copied something from somebody who'd done the course with us before, because we're like, hang on a minute.
Oh, that would be wow. Okay, good. And we got Amir Abdelhamid. She's asking. I think that goes to the qualifications of the teachers applying for the CELTA. Is it okay if I am B2 to apply?
Yes, that's too low. In fact, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. I do apologize. You should be, Cambridge clearly states this in the handbook, you should be the higher end of C1 and the lower end of C2. This is approximately an IELTS band 7.5, okay? Around that level, just to give you an idea. So B2, you probably won't be accepted on the course because we will see that your written and spoken English won't be enough. The reason for this is that the CELTA course is an internationally recognized certificate. So you should be able to teach English anywhere in the world. But if your own English is B2, while that's very good in some ways, that won't be enough if you're teaching upper intermediate or advanced level learners, because it might mean that their English is better than yours. So you don't want to be in that difficult situation as a teacher. So when we issue you with a CELTA certificate, or I should say, issue you with a grade, we are saying to the world that you can teach, in pretty well every country that accepts CELTA. So your English level must be very high. Okay. So if English is not your mother tongue, this is the level you should be aiming for. So if you are at a lower level at the moment, get working on your English. Maybe you need to take some more courses, maybe an IELTS preparation. There's lots of free material on the Cambridge website that you can use to help prepare yourself. Ideally, take a course. That would be great to update your English and bring up the level. Because if we accept you with a B2, it's 90+% sure that you'll fail. So
because of the writing aspect.
Yes, writing and spoken English as well. So it would be very dishonest of a centre to take your money when they know that you're B2. All right. So just work on it. Yes, it would be a nightmare.
Okay.
You would fail.
And it is already a stressful course, so we don't need to spend money and then gain a certificate.
And then fail. That'd be awful, wouldn't it? So good question. Thank you for asking.
Yes. Okay, good. Many thanks, Amira. And well, if you have any other questions, please leave it in the comments below, and we're sure we'll do some more lives. So answering these kind of questions related to CELTA and any kind of professional development courses will be running soon, inshallah. And I'd like to thank you. Many thanks, Ms. Laura. Hope you're doing well. Enjoy your day. The audience as well. Have a lovely night.
You too. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for organizing this and hosting it. Thank you also to the people who listened. So it's again, it's an honor for me too. It's I hope that also the audience who are listening, I hope that we managed to answer some of your questions. And as Mukhtar rightly said, we will be doing more live sessions. So if you have a burning question that you didn't have time to ask this evening, please ask us later. So save that question or questions, and please feel free to ask. So I'd like to say to you and to have a nice evening. Yes. Sorry.
Sure. And that's great. Good. And you can follow the website even, and I drop a link in here so you can join or you having the new updates of the upcoming CELTA courses. And I think Laura said the next one will be after Eid al-Fitr next May, face-to-face and online, right?
Yes. So you'll hear about that in due course. Don't you worry. So just start applying. You've got plenty of time, and probably a good idea to apply before Ramadan, before you get hungry and tired. Okay.
Oh yeah, it might be nice. Okay, yes. Good. And many thanks one more time, and see you in the next slide.
Okay, inshallah. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Inshallah. You too. Bye-bye.
See you.
See you.